course, ramping up its preparations for the 2022 polls. We go above and beyond the headlines now. Joining us now is Comelec Spokesman James Jimenez. Good evening, Mr. Spokesman. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Well, let's begin with this. Now, this wasn't really a surprise, that proposal, the idea that we should ban in-person campaigning. Hindi ba? I mean, candidates have to press the flesh, magkamayan, the rallies attract huge crowds, nagkakadikita ng mga tao doon.
Right. But if you remember, we also mentioned this early last year when the pandemic was very clearly going to last longer than anyone had expected. We already said that we would be approaching a point where we would have to reconsider campaign practices. And to be honest, we identified campaign sorties as super spreader events very early on. So I guess this round of discussions about this was triggered by the fact that recently some people had been going around giving out campaign materials to people on the streets and being very unsafe doing so. So I guess it is time for us to come to grips with this reality. We understand that campaigns go hand in hand with, as you said, pressing the flesh. But this is a pandemic and sacrifices have to be made. We have to understand that we're not doing this to make life difficult for politicians. We're doing this to make the elections safer for everyone. Again, we understand that the politicians, when they go on campaigns, they will probably be very safe. They will be wearing masks, they'll be wearing face shields and everything. Mm-hmm. But can they control the crowds that they attract? That's the big problem. The crowds that they attract will most likely not be properly masked. Just go out anywhere and you'll see that this is a problem right now. These crowds will not be properly socially distant. And that will create a situation or conditions which are very hospitable for the spread of COVID-19, which makes regulation very critical and, need I say, self-evident.
Mm-hmm. James, what kind of amendments to any law or will be needed for this? Or is this going to be just a matter of a mere Comelec resolution, an unbanked resolution?
Well, it will definitely start with the Comelec unbanked resolution, but we aim to partner or to at least coordinate with the IATF or the regular health authorities in laying out these guidelines. We understand that perhaps an outright ban of all face-to-face campaigning might be a bridge too far, but certainly there will have to be changes made. There will have to be restrictions on face-to-face events, particularly campaign sorties. So we intend to work with the IATF to promulgate these guidelines, at the same time hoping that the political parties themselves will take the initiative to come up with their own health guidelines so that there will be some sort of ownership for these guidelines. What we want to do is we want to avoid that whole circumvention mentality,
right, James,
that might arise if only Comelec issues these regulations.
All right, James. This, of course, will not impinge on the right to vote for anyone. But when you talk about there might not be an outright ban, are you saying that you would allow, the Comelec could allow like smaller gatherings? Because just a while ago, I was reading a news piece there about Senator Francis Pangilinan saying perhaps you would allow small town hall meetings. Are you saying that posible yon? Pwede yon?
Well, small gatherings, properly controlled, with the participants socially distant, that option cannot be off the table at this point. So yes, we will consider if that would be an acceptable halfway point between no regulation and an outright ban. Again, we also want to make sure that candidates are able to do their campaigning. It's just that we want to make sure that the people are safe while they do so.
Okay, well, let's talk about going online. Going online campaigning, no? So once we do that, that'll change things a lot because things are going to get cheaper. I mean, they won't have to, pay for huge rallies, for example. Going online will mean cheaper expenses in terms of advertising, no? Also, when we talk about online, is it possible to do online voting, mail-in voting? We just witnessed the U.S. elections, no? So that was an idea that was playing in everyone's mind, no? Seeing what happened in the U.S.
Sure. Mail voting is a solution that's being proposed. In fact, there's legislation pending for it. But also other alternative means of voting are being considered. For instance, absentee voting, particularly for senior citizens and persons with disabilities. So all of these are proceeding on the legislative front. On the part of the Comelec, it's important to
Correct.
understand that yes, we will open up. We intend to open up online campaigning as a viable alternative to in-person campaigning. However, our concerns in that area are more towards establishing an even playing field so that everyone gets an opportunity to use
Mhm.
online resources and online resources aren't overwhelmed by candidates with
All
with
right.
more capabilities than others.
Okay, James, we have about 20 seconds left, no? Pero ang haba at mainit ang diskusyon tungkol sa kampanya at voting. Pero syempre, ang tanong dito ng Comelec, nagrehistro ka na ba, no? And you guys are coming out with very strong campaign for people to register.
Yes, they need to register, and we are extending registration days every week and extending registration hours. We're not going to extend the registration period past September, but we will make it easier for everyone to register.
All right, thank you very much, James Jimenez, Comelec spokesperson. Salamat. Still ahead.